My name is Ellie Davis, and you are listening to the League of Women Voters Oral History. Today, I'm speaking with Betty Mackey about how she used her publishing expertise to improve the League's visibility.
I've been in Radnor since 1987, and I got involved in 1971, and I was 26 years old at the time, and I had just had a baby, and I had moved a year before to where I lived, which was a suburb of Trenton, New Jersey, and I was just home with the baby all the time, and I had been an editor and a designer and this and that, and it just it wasn't enough. And so there was a program where the township's visiting nurse would come and make sure you were taking care of your baby in the right way. And I had a good pediatrician, and I pretty much knew what to do. My mother-in-law had shown me a lot of things, but I thought, oh, a visiting nurse, that could be fun. So I had the visiting nurse come over and see me and the baby. And she came, and she was what I considered an older woman, which is much younger than I am right now. And, um, and after talking to me a while, she said, "You don't really need a visiting nurse, do you? You need to get off your can and do something. Now, you should join the League of Women Voters, an organization that I'm in, and we do." And she explained what the League does. And I have an aunt who had been in the League, and I was familiar with it. And so I was like, right, sign me up. I'm ready to go. And so I became a member. And I immediately was given the voter service profile, and I really did very well with it. And and I've been a League member ever since. I moved to a different part of New Jersey, then I moved to Florida, and then I moved here.
In Hopewell Township, New Jersey, where Miss Mackey first started her League involvement, she was tasked with being an editor of the League's publication.
And I had experience in working as an editor for a larger publisher before I got married. Anyway, I had a team of volunteers, including some community college students who were studying photography, and they volunteered to take all the photos in the magazine. And I had about a dozen people working on the different chapters, and I put it all together. And I worked there um, with a state league person who lived in Princeton, Mary Fran Ballard. And by complete lucky chance, Mary Fran Ballard had moved to Wayne. And then when I moved to Wayne, they Mary Fran Ballard told everybody how I had done this, which was then a number of years ago. And so they said, oh, well, she can do living in Radnor Township.
I had the pleasure of seeing this booklet, and it was a comprehensive small packet of everything a Radnor resident might need to know, including information about Radnor's origins, local government, and recycling.
Yes, I had a team of people. By this time, my younger son was one volunteer photographer, and there were a couple of others who contributed photos, and everybody else who worked on it was a league member or a member of the township administration. It came out in 1991, which is a long time ago. And, and then by the time they started thinking about a sequel, it was like 2001, or maybe it was later. And they weren't even thinking of doing it as a booklet. They thought they might do a website, but whoever was involved, it really never got off the ground. I don't know why, but they didn't do either a booklet or a website. But we do have a Radnor League website that has information about the Radnor League, but it doesn't have information about the township. But the township has some information, and the township bought these copies from us. And So it was pretty much an even thing. We weren't doing it to make money, but we didn't have the money for the big printing cost, and we wouldn't have printed as many as we did. We ended up printing about 5,000 and distributing them to every household and every apartment dwelling whose address we had, and also giving a lot to the library. And then certain realtors wanted them, but we didn't give them free to the realtors. We made them buy them. But again, it was pretty much at cost. But and then they were all gone. And you know, I'm assuming that the Historical Society has some in its file, and the library used to, but they've been through so much since then, change of location. They were closed for a while. They deaccessioned stuff. Who knows if it's still there?
Miss Mackey used her outside publishing experience to do other jobs for the League's visibility.
In my non-league life, I was a garden writer and a garden book publisher. So I had I was doing some of the same things as this in my other role, but that made me able to do the league things. And that there were little things like little posters and information sheets, and often I would be the one who ended up doing this. And I like that.
Miss Mackey has worn multiple hats during her time with the League.
And then some years I've been more active and some years less active. I didn't, I like to do a specific job and not have the responsible job like president, but I was treasurer for a while and I used to run the league website. And then I ran it for like 10 years, starting like way before most people could even know what to do about a website. And but then the software changed and my computer changed, and I wasn't able even to get into my own website after a while, and it just became too complicated, and I gave it up, and eventually it was revived, and other people are doing it now, but it isn't quite as active a website because there's more information online from the state league and the national league as well. I was often on the league boards in all the three places I was in the league. And so, whatever the board was doing, I was interested in that. And in Radnor Township, that's um, land use planning, environmentalism, recycling, and so on. But I never was education, but I wasn't on those committees. I kept my committee assignments more in the voter service area and the communications area.
Miss Mackey also discussed her interest in voter accessibility.
I have been very interested in getting people registered, giving people candidate information from a nonpartisan source, and other civic minded things like that. And I've often done the voter service portfolio at various places I've been in the league. And oh, and I used to publish little mini directories of important phone contact numbers and later phone numbers and addresses in Radnor Township because I had the printing equipment here to print little things like that.
As a member for 50 years, Miss Mackey has witnessed an enormous evolution of the group.
Well, I want to say something about when I first joined the league. The league, it was 1971, and it was a time when Women's Lib was in the newspapers every day and everything, and and a lot of women were really trying to branch out. And we had two kinds of people in the league at that time. We had the ones who were in my age group, like 30 and under, and we were interested in careers and other things in addition to leagues. And then there were the older women who were maybe 50, 60 years old, and a lot of them had made the league their whole career because they were shut out from being lawyers. Like by the time I joined the league, a lot of the young women who were league members were also lawyers. But that was not true in an earlier age. If a woman was a lawyer, she didn't have that much time to be in the league, with some exceptions. But some women who might have had the interest in going to law school instead became very active in the league. And they would work at league things for like 40 hours or so a week and more at busier periods. But the younger group did not do that. And so the league had to change from having this healthy supply of women who were so devoted that they worked that many hours a week at league things until, until more like today, when people are just trying to find some time to put in and do the league jobs, but they don't consider the league job their job in life. It's just a volunteer thing that they manage to fit in with everything else that they're trying to do. And that's, I think, the big change. And but overall, it's much better that women can be lawyers and doctors if they have the desire and the ability to do that. And there's nothing blocking them anymore. And it gets harder and harder. Um, I don't know what the league has been like for the younger members with COVID, but I think that we've tended to lose people because opportunities arose for women, and and then we also do have many league members who are lawyers or who are something else that requires a lot of training and expertise. Many of the people who do that are actually in politics. And my league work led to me having a little brush with politics as well. In New Jersey, after this book came out, it really got a lot of publicity and everything. And there was a state legislator who asked me to do some writing for her. And I wrote a couple of speeches and articles related to her work as that. And I liked that. But then I had to move to Florida, and that was the end of that. But that was very interesting that it worked that way. And I would say that a lot of people who are state legislators and women are and lawyers, a lot of them are also league members. That's how it is today. But they're not the kind of league member that can put 40 hours a week into the league.
Miss Mackey remembers the annual meetings as one of her favorite league events.
um, I guess our annual meetings used to be very sociable and fun, but not a lot of outside events that were like for the general public to come to. But um, before COVID, we were able to all gather together. And this was the whole time I was in the Radnor League, from the start until I'm still in it, but until COVID made everybody's behavior change. Um, we would have an annual meeting to wrap up the year and to decide on program for the next year, and to either decide state level things that were requested by the state league or national. They had alternate years, and we always made a big festive event, and everyone would bring food, and it would be at somebody's house, usually one of the larger homes that would hold a lot of people, and we'd gather there and have a drink, and then we'd have our business meeting, and we would try to keep the business meeting sort of short but cover everything. And then we'd have our dinner and talk and gossip and have a good time. And it was always an event that we would bring potential new members to, so they could see who the league was and how we were with each other. And some of us, I mean, there wasn't that much turnover in that people would join the league for a year or two and drop out and go away. They would just stay. And so little by little, you would get to know a lot of people that way and what they were up to. So this annual event was a great catch-up time for that, and a lot of fun.
Miss Mackey also stressed the importance of new league membership.
Well, I'd like to see more young women join the league because um, my age group has been like, we were the successors to the older women of before, as I said. But then we kind of went through, and now we're getting a little too old. I'm 76 now. I mean, I can still do stuff, but I'm really, I want other younger people to do. And um, but I don't see the younger people moving into the league to do this same kind of work. And pretty soon, my generation is going to be totally gone or out of it, and somebody has to pick it up. It's become more important than than ever before, because I think that our politics has taken a dangerous turn with the misinformation that is available, and I want people to have the true information.
And of course, who wouldn't want to join the league?
Oh, well, I think it's a very positive way um, to for someone to be, but especially if someone is new to the area and they want to know people, but they want to do something practical, and if they have like, the league has positions, and I'm sure you're familiar with them, and they're somewhat progressive. So we don't have people, mostly we don't have people who are against being environmentally conscious and that kind of thing. So you have these forward-looking people, and it's a great way to work with them and meet them and become friends, and it's really wonderful. And then the work is important because if we weren't doing this work, it would be left to the political parties, and we get something. Now, some people say the league moves a little too slowly, but I think that the league's ability to be nonpartisan helps with our credibility. And when we provide election information, for instance, it comes directly from the candidate. And we don't leave anybody out. When we have a candidates night where the candidates come in person, and now they're often televised, so we don't even know how large the audience has become for those, but it's quite large. So all of these things, the candidate may be a partisan person, but he or she gets to put forward his own position in an unfiltered way, and the listening person who's trying to figure out who to vote for can evaluate it, whatever their evaluation leads to, and there's nothing filtering it in between. Well, I think it's in encouraging people to be involved in politics and to be aware of all the sides of certain issues, and to listen to the information that's out there, not just take it from one side or the other, and to have a complete picture, and as much as possible get it directly from the original sources.
Thank you, Betty Mackey, for participating in the League of Women Voters Oral History. Next, we'll be talking with Fran Finkel. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay civically engaged.